You battled a lava dragon? Greetings! I am Haven the Hare, and welcome to one of my campaign diaries for the Hoard of the Dragon Queen as part of the Tyranny of Dragons. My group is currently running through. We have just reached Waters Deep. This will be basically sessions 22, 23 that we actually met up and did. This is kind of the end of chapter 4, right before they get on the road again. This is everything that happens in Waters Deep, for a shorter explanation. When we left off with my brave crew of Havenettes, or the Heroes of Green Nest, they had just reached Waters Deep after following the Hoard, the Hoard of Gold, but basically following the cult as they traveled all the way across the Sword Coast. We have basically trekked all the way up it. We've gone through Boulder's Gate, all the way up now to Waters Deep. They just wrapped up a bunch of encounters that happened while they were on the road. They entered the gates of Waters Deep and continued to follow the cult all the way to the other side of the northern side of Waters Deep and into where the treasure wagons were all loaded into a very large warehouse that seemed to have been being run by a very large half-orc kind of gatekeeper type. They found an inn across the street and a little ways down and asked for some windows above the street and proceeded to keep an eye on the cult. They seemed to be bedding down, and they watched for a while, and nothing really seems to happen. They saw a bunch of the Teamsters and the people, the cult that was running, who were running the wagons, all disembarked and left the warehouse. And they were able to count most of them that left. And so they're pretty sure that the warehouse is more or less empty, other than the gold and everything that they were bringing, and the one warehouse keeper. They did go over and kind of interview him a little bit. They tried to actually play it off that they were doing some inspections. It didn't quite work right. However, our own half-orc Nahis did end up actually getting his attention, but not in the way she was expecting, but she kind of used it to her advantage and started flirting with him a bit and got a bit more information. And yes, he was the guardian of the warehouse, and he was watching everything that for very high-end clients that he watched. That was about it that they found out from there, and they decided that they had a little bit of time and that they were going to keep an eye on the warehouse, and they left Eddie in charge of keeping an eye on the warehouse while they went about checking in on some other things, including Luo Toa. Luo Toa had reached a certain level in his training where he felt it was time for him to take on one of the challenges that allowed him to ascend in the ranks of the monks of the four elements. Monks of the Four Elements? That's not the way it is. Way of the Four Elements. So he decided he was going to track down the temple in Waters Deep and take the challenge. And so they did. They found the temple. The headmaster was a tiefling, and the assistant headmaster was a goblin. And they both, if I remember correctly, the tiefling's name was Devotion, and he said, by all means, brother, you may take the challenge, and they led them down deep into the catacombs below the temple, into the ceremonial room where there was a very large archway, a stone archway with some runes encrusted on it, and he was instructed that if he so focused on his chi while kneeling at the same spot that many, many monks had before him, that he would then summon a challenge worthy of his current state. If he beats that challenge, then from one of the elemental planes, that he will then ascend to the next level of his monkhood. Luo Toa decides he's going to do it. He gathers the rest of the crew together to witness this, and they all walk in. He's told though that they will wait 12 hours and then open the giant giant stone slab doors to check on them, or they'll open it as soon as they ring the bell, the gong, that is beside the door. They agree, they walk in, and now this cavern is this huge domed cavern of sulfur, and they can see minerals coming through it. It looks like the cavern was kind of like they found a natural cavern and then etched some stairs and some levels into it, and then found this archway. Very much looks like a place of power that they had discovered, and then built the temple on top of it. Not quite sure if this goes all the way back to all the other things that have happened in Waters Deep, but that was tied in later. We'll figure that out later. But anyway, they're in the cavern. He kneels, he starts rolling, and Luo Toa focuses his chi, and after a few turns, few moments, suddenly the archway starts to shift and shimmer, and almost like it's going through the different colors, reds and blues and browns and blacks are all kind of shimmering and going across it. It almost looks like it's a mosaic that's shimmering, or maybe stained glass where the glass is growing and shifting and fighting for control over what's going to actually, take solidification. And after about an hour of him focusing, suddenly red takes over, and it lights up. All of the glyphs light up, the ground lights up, and then he actually watches as the top of the archway actually cracks as a giant head of a dragon that looks like it was molten, cooling lava for skin, but crackling underneath, and molten lava is seeping out between it, busts its head through, and launches giant globules, balls of lava at Luo Toa. The battle is on, and an adult lava dragon is clawing its way out of this portal. Now, it is a little too big for the portal itself, so it's not able to get all of itself out of the portal in its first turn. It's only got its front claws in its head and one wing actually out, and it's digging in and trying to claw its way out of this portal. Meanwhile, spewing balls of lava everywhere that are now leaving spots, about 5-foot circle spots around the area that they no longer can be used right now because there's just giant glowing piles of lava sitting there. The party reacts, jumping back, and starts immediately attacking the lava dragon. Luo Toa was letting loose arrows. The rogues are standing back, either throwing their daggers or firing arrows at them. You have Callie casting spells, trying to get closer, throwing up her hillbilly rapier into the air to swing at the lava dragon. Now, unfortunately, Nahis finds out a sickening problem with this dragon being almost entirely made out of lava as she swings her axes at it and chops into its skin. Every wound she makes spews lava out at her. These large constrictor snakes made of fire. And almost by name, they start to go after the Tabaxi. The Tabaxi, seeing that this is her chance to actually lend a hand, draws some of the snakes of fire away and starts attacking them and banishing them back to the ultimate plane of fire. She runs down some corridors that come around the back of the cavern to sneak up on the rest of the snakes, firing at them. The battle ensues for a good while. The dragon, now free, flying in the limited space that it has and landing, still spewing fire and lava balls and lava everywhere it goes. Eventually, the party, after taking a lot of damage, does succeed in bringing down the dragon, but unfortunately, in the process, destroys the elemental portal in the process. Patching their wounds, the party then goes and rings the gong, alerting the monks that they are ready to leave. The monks open the door and are shocked at the destruction they see within, and then the body of a slowly cooling lava dragon in the far corner. They explain to the monks exactly what happened and what they summoned. Devotion, stepping forth, goes, "You summoned a lava dragon? I cannot recall anyone ever actually summoning a lava dragon from the plane of fire. You must be a truly powerful monk. But this does not bode well. Weird things are afoot." The monk takes a staff and hands it to Luo Toa. It is a staff of the elements, giving him some other additional abilities and magical powers to draw upon, to show his station, that he is elevated to the next stage of his training as a monk of the four elements. They discuss a little longer about the other things going on and the fact that a dragon coming through. There had been talks of a red dragon at one point from another truly powerful monk many, many years ago, almost a millennia ago. But it was almost rumor at this point, like legend, that a dragon actually being summoned is part of one of the challenges of the four elements. However, knowing the information that they now know also of the impending cult activities and their attempts to possibly rend and free the Queen of the Dragons, adds a little more clarity to why maybe a dragon took this opportunity to actually come through the elemental portal to take on the party. Devotion leads them with some more questions than with answers on exactly what has happened. Licking its wounds, the party goes back to the inn to check in with with Eddie, who, by the way, actually, as a joke, is dressed and looks disguised as Fire. Okay, I forgot something in my other video. I'm going to put this in at the end. Before they went into the warehouse, they did actually get a chance to meet back up with Leotian. I know, I screwed up. I'm sorry, I'm human. Leotian took them away to the Yawning Portal where they had a secret meeting where they met up with Leona Silverhand and Dalen something or other with a giant wolf, who are part of the Emerald Enclave and another faction as part of this. They formed with Uthar from the Gauntlet, and Leotian is representing the Harpers, not the Hunters, the Harpers, a secret council, a quiet council, to help decide what to do next with this information. The party fills them in on exactly what they've been doing, as well as they fill the party in on some other information that they had found out, like the fact that they have they now know for sure that the goal of all of the gold is to appease the Queen of Dragons when she is summoned, to not kill the cult and allow the cult to continue to serve at her side. That's the reason for all of the gold, to give her a hoard as soon as she comes back from hell. That being said, there's an intruder. The gnome that they had met up with earlier, who pointed out the metal shavings stuck in their food. It's just outside the door, wanting to be part of this council, wanting to know what they're talking about. The party all votes that Gemma and her alliances to a more darker guild should not be part of this, and she is quickly ousted and told to leave. So the party then decides what they're going to do next after they've licked their wounds. This is the good evening that they're now going to go after the treasure that the Hoard had brought into the warehouse. Fire decides she's going to be sneaky about it and sneak over there, and pretending again to be an inspector, manages to talk her way in to the warehouse with Bogrot, the half-orc. The half-orc lets her in, and she starts to look around a little bit, and next thing you know, she's knocked unconscious. We slide back to the rest of the party. All they saw was Fire go inside. A little bit later on, he grabs a bottle of elven wine and decides that she's going to take her hand. She goes over, and through some very crafty and clever conversations, makes some great points to Bog about rising above the station, not giving into his baser needs, and that you are more than just your muscle, as well as getting him pretty well drunk on elven wine. She convinces him that he actually can do better and that he's on the wrong side, that the cult is, if the cult succeeds, that it bears bad news for everybody, orcs and humans and everybody on this plane. He agrees. And then she knocks him unconscious with a mug. Tying Bog up, she proceeds to let the rest of the party, and they continue to search around this warehouse. Now, this warehouse is mostly a large, big open warehouse, except for one room off to the side that is obviously much more secure, has big, large doors with giant bars on them, and then a living space above it, which is where Bog and Mahis were drinking. They proceed to break into that room using the keys they stole from Bog. After searching around inside of that room, they find the chests and crates of the treasure that they were following from the Hoard, or that the Hoard of treasure that the cult had brought in. They then find Fire locked inside of a crate, unconscious. They bring her back. They bring her back to consciousness, and then proceed to interrogate Bog some more and find out what's really going on. They find out. After a quick battle, as Bog is now broken free and tries to, is not as stupid as he looks, they do manage to convince him to lay out the plans. And he tells them that the cult brings the treasure to this warehouse, and he guards it until such time as the troop of lizard men that come up from a secret passageway in the floor of the locked part of the secure room. And they carry all of the treasure away. This has been going on for months. That all the treasure comes to him and then gets funneled out and into the north, where the Mirror of the Dead Men is slowly getting closer and closer every year to Waterdeep. The party proceeds that they decide they're going to lick their wounds a bit more, make sure they're fully rested, and then lie in wait until the lizard men come in. About a little after midnight, a secret hatch opens with a chest on top, with a crate on top of it. And 6 lizard men come in, and 2 by 2 they carry out 3 crates full of the treasure of Green Nest and the surrounding area. They give them about another hour, and then they follow the lizard men down into this dark, dank tunnel. Most of them having dark vision are able to see in the distance, far off, the lizard men carrying the crates. And they follow at a safe distance of about 60 to 100 feet behind them and sneakily follow them all the way for about 5 miles of tunnel that then leads out into the swamp. This looks like it used to be a drainage tunnel that they sealed off to use for this purpose. Once they're in, now they find themselves in the Mere of Dead Men, a swamp of the undead, and their prey slowly disappearing off into the distance as the fog that seems to perpetually hover throughout the Mere of Dead Men envelops them. And that is where we ended at least that part of Chapter 4, and we go into Chapter 5. This was a great little bit of adventure. This had a little bit of backstory for Luo Toa thrown in, and then we had some other stuff, and I did some major changes. So if you've actually ever played the Tyranny of Dragons, and specifically the Hoard of the Dragon Queen, I'm pretty sure you realize that something really different has happened here. Usually there's a chunk missing. I will cover all of that and the reasons why I did it in my next video of how Haven did it. Feel free to watch that, and it'll give you all the behind-the-screen tips that I used on being a DM and running this for my group of friends of 6 people, plus Eddie. That's why there's 7 characters. I keep getting that confused. 7 characters, but 6 players. And I will be more than happy to go over it. I will never monetize this channel because I hate commercials. However, if you do want to support me, by all means, you can support me by my Patreon down below, buying my card game, 5-Minute Sword Fight, where you can actually play as me, Haven the Hare, as a Renaissance Fair character. That's a whole other ball of wax, so I'll cover that later. Or you could even order a chainmail dice pouch from my Etsy store, where I make custom chainmail dice pouches. And as of the filming of this video, I have not hit 100 subscribers, and as soon as I do, I will give away a free dice pouch to somebody in the continental U.S. All I'll ask you is to give me a pattern, design, colors, and I will make it and ship it out to you. That being said, cliffhanger time. The Mere of Dead Men. It's a mysterious past. It's an unforgiving place to heroes. It's not a place you want to be found walking alone. Luckily, this party has 6 friends with it. But would that be enough for them to get through and follow the lizard men carrying the treasure away? Tune in next week and we'll find out. Till then, I've been Haven the Hare, and make you make all of life's saving throws. The party at this point now continues on and goes to the warehouse. That's where that picks up here. Sorry for that. Continue on your way.